Well, a very good evening to the channel. It's 6:45 here in Cambodia. It's 7:45 in Hong Kong. It's 6:45 a.m. And if you're still up in Sydney, it's 11:45 p.m. And if you're in the United Kingdom, well, you're probably still in the land of Z's. Now, I do have a very special guest, and we've been meaning to do this for absolutely months and months, but one thing after another, it's always sort of got cancelled or delayed or some poor excuse. A fellow Englishman currently in Taiwan. This is YGZ Taiwan, otherwise known as Mr. Lewis. Lewis, how are you?
Yeah, hi James. I'm great, thanks. How are things going with you in Cambodia?
Hot. This is the, oh, where's my camera gone?
I don't know, mate. You've just gone half off the screen. There you are.
There we go. This is the beginning of summer here at the moment, and temperatures are getting up to 37, and the air conditioning bill is going to be incredibly expensive. Could you just do I have about 30,000 subscribers on my channel. I have mentioned you quite a few times. Could you just give yourself a quick introduction about yourself?
Absolutely, no problem. So as James said, my name is Lewis. My YouTube channel name is YGZ Taiwan. I come from the UK. I have 7 years experience of living in China. But in 2020, I decided to get the hell out of there because of coronavirus, obviously. And I decided to head back to the UK. And then I hopped on a flight and came to Taiwan. And I've been in Taiwan for just like over a year and 4 months now. So I've got my own YouTube channel here. It's getting larger by the day, more and more subscribers joining. I've got another YouTube channel where I talk about the pro CCP shills, those CCP sycophants. And yeah, man, just trying to make the best videos that I can and just enjoy my life in the beautiful free country of Taiwan. So yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be on your channel, James. We've been talking about doing this for quite some time, and it's good to finally get it done. And in the future, I definitely want you to come on my channel as well. So yeah, and hi to all of James's subscribers as well.
We got 4 at the moment.
That's fine. It's better than 0.
Randy, hi there. And Randy is one of my members, and Karen, I think, is one too. I can't remember exactly. What we're going to do today is sort of like a mixed bag of goodies, and we will be discussing some possibly sensitive issues, some things about Taiwan, China, your experiences, maybe some of my experience. I think most of my subscribers have gone through the whole of that. I've gone through my life in Wuhan and Chongqing and Chengdu. And no, I don't speak any Chinese before anyone says, I know you do. And I'm very impressed that you do. And you read Chinese as well.
But it's not as good as it should be. Trust me.
How did you start YouTube? How did you get on to being a content creator?
Sure. I mean, I've always had like a keen interest in making videos. When I went to university, actually, my major is film studies, and I've actually like worked on films before in the past. So I think it's kind of just a natural progression from the interest from when I was younger, and now, you know, just pretty much anybody has access to even if you've got a terrible camera or whatever, you can just go and make YouTube videos. And so I guess because I already have that experience, I kind of know how to make videos, and it's definitely a hobby. And I'm really enjoying making the YouTube videos. Sometimes it's up and down though, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you're not in the mood for it, but you feel like you're obliged to put stuff out, because you build an audience and you build a good rapport with that audience. So you want to keep them entertained. So yeah, it's just all of that like previous experience just made me want to start my own YouTube channel. And of course, I've watched other YouTubers, especially ones who are in China, like like Serpent ZA, Lawai86, those guys. I watched their videos for quite a while and thought, well, I can do the same as that. I can be as good as these guys. Maybe one day.
One day, yeah.
And yeah.
Let's. Where's my screen? Sorry, I did my first broadcast on StreamYard, which you can see on the top right-hand side next to Lewis's head, a couple of days ago, but it's still quite fresh and new to me. There it is. Thank you. And it's free streaming. Yeah, for what we have. And what I wanted to say first of all is, where is the picture? My usual show is going to be at 10 o'clock my time tonight about the Three Gorges Dam. It's a sort of like brand new concept I got there. So in New York, that's going to be about 10 a.m. But don't worry, you can watch it anytime on YouTube. So that's that bit done. And
might I say, you're looking pretty dapper. You're looking pretty dapper in that picture there, James.
Oh, this is actually a Photoshop picture. I don't actually own a jacket. So they just popped my head, and this was for some advertising in China. So these are some of the comments that I asked people to do for this morning. And this is about water, electricity. From Sean, could they make a floating paddle that would spin on top of the water so they don't need a dam to generate electricity? Yep, 100%. Why not? Yep. We've talked quite often about every day about the dam and how it's useless and it's possibly going to end up in a disaster. They should have just done some smaller things. But I think it's the same as many countries in a way that every country seems to want to have the biggest, the tallest, the largest, whatever. In Taipei 101 used to be the tallest building in the world. So Taiwan has got no excuse for it as well. Kuala Lumpur.
Yes, mate. But at least when they built Taipei 101, it's built to last,
Yeah. That's true.
Which is it's very much a China thing. Is a lot of things they're not really built with the future in mind, if you know what I mean.
This one is a interesting topic that I got from David Clark. And what is your opinion of Ukraine, China, and the South Pacific / Taiwan, which is possibly going to take us the next 22 hours to discuss?
Yes.
To be honest with the Ukraine, I don't really know the history of the last 8 years. I haven't followed it on the news, to be honest, but my concern is now that there's 2 million refugees. America is sending 13.6 billion in aid in some sort. I think even the Chinese Red Cross I saw today is actually sending like 87 million, and Taiwan is doing, I think, like 800 million for aid. So
correct.
I know some people are for Ukraine. I think most of the world are, but I know some people aren't, but we're not going into that bit. But I just feel sorry for just your life is just destroyed. It's something you all built up, gone in seconds. So I just feel sorry for the people, but the politics of it, I don't know. I hope what happens is that it just goes into talks and then something is resolved in the next couple of weeks, but I doubt it very much with that.
It's not looking good. Like I spent some time living in Ukraine I was there for one summer in 2015, directly a year after the whole revolution kicked off. I got a lot of Ukrainian friends who are actually currently there at the moment during this conflict. So it's very worrying for me. I think, if you want to push politics aside, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you can't justify another country going in and invading another country like that. Ukraine is a sovereign nation at the end of the day, and Russia going in there and invading, it's really awful, James. Like some of the stories
Yeah.
that my friends are telling me, I'm not going to go too into it really, but like one of my friends, she owns a yoga studio, and the whole area is being bombed, and she's actually using that yoga studio to as a place for refugees to go and rest. She's currently like trying to make money, trying to get donations for it. I actually put a link on my channel, but yeah, just horrible things like that. Just like someone who's a dance instructor having to use her studio as a place for refugees. People shouldn't have to be dealing with that sort of thing. So yeah, that's my take on it, mate. It's just, I think it's horrible. You can't justify what Russia are doing.
Yeah. I went to years and years ago, 1990. I was working on a cruise ship called the Countess Princess. It was owned by Cunard, the same as the QE2 company. And we went to the Black Sea, and it was still Soviet at the time. And I went to Yalta in the Crimea, and it was the Russian, the people who did well for the Soviet party holiday resort. And I remember walking around in a pair of jeans, and one guy saying, "I will give you $20 for your jeans."
Really?
Yeah. It was the place where, at the end of World War II, is where the Winston Churchill and I think Roosevelt and Stalin were there to sign the peace treaty. And then Odessa was an interesting place because I don't know how to say it politely, but there was lots of ladies offering you services there. But again, it's a long time ago, but these are the things I remember of my only time to this place. I have been back, but I never actually got off the ship when it was the Ukraine and Crimean.
Odessa is a great city.
Yeah. The South Pacific is another one from David here. This is a little bit of history with this. I think in 2016, the International Court said that the South Pacific Islands don't belong to China, nor do they belong to the Philippines or Vietnam or Brunei or Malaysia or Japan or even Taiwan. But China just decided to put some military bases there. And what's your opinion about that? Just like
the South China Sea, you mean?
Yeah, the South China Sea is. They said South Pacific. Well, I think they're talking about that more than anything else. It sort of makes sense.
Oh, okay. Well, if we're talking about the South China Sea, I think China's claim to it is pretty ridiculous. They've actually, they've even marked on a map, like a 9-dash line on the map, claiming that this is their territory. But actually, it also, like, the Philippines is in the water, in the sea, that part of the sea. Like they also have like a claim to it. Several other countries have a claim to this area. So yeah, it's quite ridiculous how China just decided to start building these artificial islands, these bases there. It's pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy. They're trying to like build up the military and the navy there, so they can probably just take it by force eventually. It's actually scary, James, I think.
Yeah. I've been in Southeast Asia for getting close to 28 years. And I just
wow, that's a long time.
It's a long time. And like one of the oldest here now. But I remember when many people seem to come and go, but I've sort of stuck my ground here. I have been back to England, obviously, to visit my mum, etc. But I just find this is more home than the UK now.
Sure.
And this one, I know we've got some people. I don't know if you can see the chat. I'll show one. Yeah. This one here. Wait till China invades Taiwan like next week. So what's your, I know you've done some, I know you've done lots of shows about this, and there's lots of history of this and that and everything. I do know the history of Taiwan because just my relationship with China for all these years. I've got lots of friends like you have Chinese in Shanghai and Hong Kong. I haven't mentioned Hong Kong on this one. Yeah. So what do the actual your friends, your Taiwanese friends actually say about this you could say sensitive issue?
Well, you know, it's obviously it's very it's a very how to say this, really, you know, it's a touchy subject, I think. On the one hand, you know, they want to be like proud and tough and like, yeah, China are never going to invade us, and if they do, we're gonna kick their asses. But you know, when you really think about it, China, or you know, the CCP, let's call it the CCP, yeah, like let's just pretend that the Chinese people aren't complicit and it's just their crazy mad government. They're this massive big bully country with their military is growing day by day. They're getting more weapons, more ships. Their navy, I think their navy just surpassed the USA in number of ships, right?
Yeah.
So it is actually quite intimidating knowing that there is this country like just literally just across a little Taiwan Strait. And they're threatening daily, flying their planes into Taiwan's airspace and constantly just blustering and threatening that they're going to come over and invade. But I think the general consensus here is that they're not going to do it, even though they keep threatening, because they've literally been threatening now for the last
years.
70 years, right?
Yeah.
And they haven't done it, and they've had ample opportunity to do it in the past. So the general consensus amongst the Taiwanese people, from what I gather, I can't speak for all of them, obviously, but from what I've heard from some of my friends is they just don't believe that it's going to happen because they've had this constant threat for so long now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The Taiwanese history spans back thousands of years, and again, it will take quite a few hours to explain it. But what the CCP does, I feel, they just take away history that they don't want you to know. Like in Hong Kong, they're slowly kicking out Tiananmen Square. It's not in history books, even in supposedly bunny rabbit ears Hong Kong. It's going. Every year in Kowloon Park before COVID, people did the candle vigilance, and now they've closed the Tiananmen Square Museum. They've taken down the one monument or one statue in a museum in Hong Kong. So it just gets out of control, and you sort of wonder, it gets done, China does it, gets away with it, and nothing seems to get done about it. But that goes into politics, and you get annoyed. It's when you live in an area for so long, and I've got quite a close attachment to Hong Kong, and I've sometimes helped people get out of Hong Kong because my last one was a nurse, believe it or not, who was sick and tired of just not being free and she actually had a job in a New York City hospital, but she just needed to pass her English proficiency test. So I helped her with that, and I think she's on her way now, or this year she will be. It's a great shame because she loved Hong Kong. Yeah. So let's do something a bit more light-hearted before we talk. We sound like two old men grumping along in the pub somewhere in the city of London. Yeah. Melody asked me, just a stray point out of curiosity, do China and Cambodia or China play a silly game of changing clocks, setting twice a year to trick themselves? No. The answer is no. Yeah. I think the main reason is mainly because we're pretty close to the equator and the sun usually sets at 6 and it usually gets up about 6, varies a little, so there's no need. And I remember being in England saying, in October, does it go backwards or does it go forwards? I always got
It's
confused.
confusing, right?
One person said to me, spring forward, fall back. So fall being
Right.
American for autumn, and that's why I always get it. But no, in Asia, it's doesn't happen. Even in China, China is a massive country. Think of it the same size as America, which has
same time all over the country. Yeah,
3 or 4, but it's the same time. So in Xinjiang, it's 6 o'clock, and in Beijing, it's 6 o'clock. So when it's dark and light, that's quite confusing.
Daylight savings hours always annoyed me. It's like, especially when the clocks would change and then you had to go to work an hour earlier or something like that. That would always piss me off, dude.
Yeah. All right. Let's go into more about you. And I'm sure a lot of people, I remember you did one video a couple of weeks ago related to regrets in life. And you said one of them was actually being in China. So where were you? Where did you live, work, survive in China?
Yeah, sure. I lived in a city in the northeast of China. The city is called Dalian. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Dalian, yeah, I know. It's like northwest of Beijing, maybe like that way.
Northeast.
200 kilometers from Beijing.
Yeah, it's from Beijing. Northeast, and it is in a little peninsula. It's across would be like North Korea. It's very close to Dandong, which is like right next to North Korea. The capital of the province is Shenyang. It's a coastal city, very beautiful, very lovely place. The winters are extremely cold, but the summers are very nice. There's lots of beaches there, and just generally a nice place to live.
And how did you went to China did you go there on holiday or did you just go there to work or were you backpacking or?
Yeah, sure. So I first went there on a holiday. This was in 2007. And I went to meet some friends who were living there. They were teaching English. So I just went for like a month, went all around the country, really had a great time and figured I'd like to go there and maybe spend a year. And then, of course, I went back there, thought I was only staying for a year, ended up staying for a lot longer, as you do.
And where did you go in China? Did you go to all the touristy places or did you go off the beaten track to maybe like somewhere like Dali in Yunnan? That's my new city that I'm learning, by the way.
Yeah, I've been to Dali in Yunnan province. It's kind of, I went to the capital city Kunming, and I've been all around China, north, south, east, west. Traveled all around the country. Did the usual tourist rubbish, like the Great Wall or the not so great wall, as that guy called it on that. What was that show called? Idiot Abroad. Yeah, the Carl Pilkington guy. He called it the not so great wall of China. So anyway, I went all around China, tourist stuff, off the beaten path, went into the rural parts, did quite a bit of exploring. I was there for 7 years in total. So did quite a lot of exploring. So it was good. Good times.
Did you ever get to any of these, again, let's use the word sensitive parts like Xinjiang or even Tibet? Or I know sometimes you're not allowed to go, especially Tibet. Did you ever get there or just the...
No, I did not. Part of the reason being was I did want to go to Xinjiang, but at that time it was very difficult to get there. It would have taken a lot of effort. I think now it's kind of getting easier, especially if you're a CCP shill. They seem to be all over Xinjiang right now. But yeah, I haven't been to Tibet either. I'd love to go. I would love to check it out, but that's definitely not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. When I worked in Chengdu, well, God, that's winter of 1995. I did have the opportunity to go with some Tibetan warlords.
Oh, really?
You don't mess with these guys, but they're actually very nice. And I spent a weekend in Lhasa, the capital of Tibet.
Yeah.
And the Tibetan people, really nice. But again, this is like so many decades ago. I would love to go back and be a fly on the wall in China nowadays and see what's really going on with my GoPro camera.
I still have friends there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I still have many friends who are still in China. So I get my information from them more than often. You know, obviously you can't always believe what you read in the mainstream media. And, you know, like they do, a lot of mainstream media does report negatively on China. Although a lot of it I do agree with, to be honest with you. But, you know, like it's better to have sources who are actually in the country where you can get your information from, for sure, right?
Yeah. I had I was chatting with a professor, and I can't remember which university was in, and his university has been locked down because they got the Omicron. So 2 weeks they can't go outside. They can be outside in the camp. They can be in the campus grounds, but they can't go outside. So the zero tolerance policy doesn't seem to be working that well.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's. How about Cambodia, James? How about the situation there with the COVID?
Like the rest of the world, it has Omicron. I think there's triple number cases every day. The Cambodia has done really well with the vaccine, and it's like the second best country per capita for the amount of people who've had the double dose and the third dose, and guess what? Yes, the fourth dose as well.
How many have you had?
Can I hide the camera? None. I haven't.
Really?
Been, sorry. Yeah, I haven't been.
Yeah.
Now the reason being is that I've had too many rumors, too many stories about the Chinese vaccine. The Chinese vaccine is available here. You can now get AstraZeneca or the Pfizer, but that's only in the capital. I will, and why I want the European one is that my mum is 83. She had it with no side effects. My sisters had the AstraZeneca, no side effects. And the amount of people I've spoken with who've had the Johnson & Johnson one, I don't know the Russian one, the Sputnik, and the Sinovac and the Sinopharm, the one from China, the side effects of it, that one person couldn't sleep for 2 weeks. Another person couldn't stop shaking. It scares me. Yeah. And I'm not a person who goes out a lot, but like everyone else in Asia, it's pretty standard. You go out, even if you ride your motorbike or car, you put the mask on. Yeah. And I think in a different way that in my mid 50s now, is my battery okay? In my mid 50s now, and if I go, I go, and I've had a great life. Positive thinking.
That's fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I've had 2 doses. I had the AstraZeneca. You know, I'm not like any like anti-vaxxer kind of guy or anything. I probably wouldn't have bothered if it wasn't for my job asking me to do it. And it was just going to make my life a hell of a lot easier. So I just chose to do it. But if I didn't have to I didn't have to do it, but it just made life a hell of a lot easier. So I just decided to do it. Yeah. Anyway, let's not talk about this.
Sorry, did you have any side effects from the AstraZeneca? Is the British one? Did you have any negative?
Yeah. My leg fell off, and I had to get a prosthetic. I'm now like a pirate. No. I did.
I
Yeah, Captain Lewis Sparrow. That's me. But yeah, I felt pretty rough for like 2 days after the first dose. Like I was throwing up, and it wasn't
Oh,
very pleasant. Yeah, yeah. But apart from that, fine. And then after the second dose, I got this weird like pins and needles sensation in my left leg that wouldn't go away for about a week. But now nothing is fine. Yeah. So yeah, not recommended.
it's step by step. I used to travel quite a lot, but I actually haven't traveled for 2.5 years now because it's just a pain
Yeah.
in the backside to do so.
Right.
And
Yeah, true.
when do you think? Here's a question, because
Oh,
when do you think you'll be able to travel again without a mask and without a PCR, whatever it's called, PCR test?
that is the question, isn't it? That's on everybody's mind.
Mind, yeah,
Wow. Well, I think now, if you want to go back to the UK, you don't need to do one of those PCR tests.
yeah,
And I heard that several airlines now are taking away that mandatory mask rule.
yeah.
So I think probably it depends. I mean, is World War III going to start before this happens? You know what I mean? Like the way things are going. But I think maybe you're talking about at least another year or another couple of years before they start to settle down and things go back to 100% normal. What do you think?
I think the earliest will be not this year. I think we'll possibly have another couple of variants. And I
Mm,
also look back to the early part of last century with the Spanish flu. That was like
sure.
5 years, and then it sort of like just disappeared. Yeah. So
Yeah.
not this year, no, maybe 23, but 20 at the end of 24, I think you'll be able to. I think travel will be closer to normal pre 2020. That makes
I hope
sense.
so. I hope
I
so.
hope so. Yeah. I miss getting on an aeroplane and just like landing, going somewhere, and
Yeah.
just the excitement of it. Yeah.
Me
Okay.
too. Me too.
Your life in Taiwan. So
Yay.
after China, you went back to the UK.
Sure.
How did you get your teaching ESL or TEFL or English second language, teaching English foreign language?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you
Okay.
get
Well,
Did you get the job before, or did you just do the same thing? Did you just fly to Taiwan, or
right. Yeah, that's a good question. So I I was let me think. Yeah, I actually got the job before, right? And I was originally supposed to go in April of 2020, but at that time, COVID was at its worst all around the world. It was just spreading like wildfire, and Taiwan actually closed its border. So I was unable to take my flight and go. So I had to delay. I had to hold it back for until December of 2020. But yeah, I already had the job lined up before I left, so it was pretty easy to get there because the school that I worked for, they helped me with all of the paperwork and that kind of thing. But yeah, it was a real pain to just get everything sorted out. It took ages. It took ages, and it was quite expensive as well. Like, for example, the 14-day quarantine that cost me
yeah?
about 700 quid.
Wow, it was about 1,000
Yeah,
American. Yeah,
I got half of it back though because the Taiwanese government subsidizes you.
yeah,
So that was good. Yeah, so that was good. But just the initial cost of getting here was ridiculous. Everything was just it was just all like it felt like everything was just up in the air and just so uncertain. You don't know when you get on that flight, are they going to allow you to get on the flight? They'll start demanding all of this like COVID tests and Yeah, it was just like unreal. You know, if you thought about it, like in 2020, just before COVID hit, if you thought that the world was going to turn into this, like it was just you would never have thought it, right? Just crazy.
Yeah. I remember in the winter of 2019 or the December 2019 when it was just starting to emerge, and some of my friends said, "Oh, have you heard about this new kind of SARS?" And they said, "Oh, it's between animal and human, so don't touch an animal." And then how much it progressed step by step, like day by day. We were watching the news, what was happening
I was in
in
China,
Wuhan,
yeah.
yeah, and some of the documentaries coming out of there, and what rubbish the
Shocking.
CCP was coming out with, and some of the journalists from the Guardian or even in Beijing, they managed to get in and managed to get out before 10 o'clock on the 20 something of January, like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
if the viewers here, if you do want to find out more about Taipei, Taiwan, I've forgotten the name of the city where you live. I know it begins with T.
I live in a city. So the way that it's said in English is Taichung, but actually it's
Taichung.
called Taichung. Taichung.
Taichung.
Mm.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you do want to find out more, then I have a link in the description. It's just a mention, and you can go and follow there. And also your other channel, which we will get to sort of like now, once the flag disappears. You also do something called CCP Shill Busters. Now, a couple of
Oh
questions.
God, there it is.
Yeah, because I always look, I put this is your flag that I copied. Don't sue me on copyright, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be getting a lawsuit.
Yep. A couple of days ago, I did explain what a tanky is because I always forget these expressions. And I looked up on Wikipedia, and it actually had the version of tanky, which is someone who loves a dictatorship like Saddam or Gaddafi or Rocket Boy Kim,
Yeah.
as Donald Trump used to say all those years ago. What's another expression? What is a Wu Mao?
Wu Mao. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So the Wu Mao is basically the translation would be like 50 cent. It's the Wu Mao Dang, which is the Wu Mao 50-cent army. They're a bunch of paid bots who are paid by the Chinese Communist Party to go and post favorable things about the Chinese Communist Party online. So their job, like, they got the name Wu Mao because it means like it's the currency in Chinese. It's like the smallest, sorry, not the smallest, the second smallest unit of currency. And they would go on to like videos on YouTube or forums and post positive things about China. And for every post that they would do, they would get paid Wu Mao. So that's why they're called the Wu Mao Army, the 50-cent army, because that's how much they would get paid for every post. And they would really try and encourage you to reply to their posts, so then they can post more and more and more and get paid more money. That's what a Wu Mao is.
Yeah. It's sort of like a human algorithm in one way. It's like if you ever say something like on your YouTube channel, Bitcoin, then you get lots of Bitcoin advertising, which is just a robot.
Sure.
I found out. I didn't know it. Even I replied to some of their comments, and then I was wisely informed not to. So it's strange how advertising and how all these kind of things work. In China, there's lots of, well, I would say there's a guy in America called Lao White 86, and I thought he did this expression brilliantly, and he calls them the commie bunch, like the Brady Bunch, if you ever remember the show. Now, most of my audience is like my age plus, so they're all going to know the Brady Bunch in the United States. And classic, yes. I remember Friday, 5:15.
After Little House on the Prairie.
Saturday, 6:05 a.m. Channel 4.
Yeah.
And there's Oh, there's your channel there. Why was that there? I've forgotten. So,
Don't know, mate. Yeah.
this is one of
Okay,
your
so
best friends here.
oh yeah, this guy. You want to talk about the shills?
The shills, yeah, that's what we're moving on to now. So,
Okay, James, who are the shills? Can you explain them for your audience?
shills are the tankies and the wumaos. Basically, most of them live in China. I would say most of them are actually married to a Chinese girl. Otherwise, I
Sure.
wouldn't know how they would be able to stay in the country just making videos. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they will do everything. When something happens, they will do sort of negative things about the West and positive things about China. So with Xinjiang, I've never actually said this word on YouTube, but hey, the situation or the genocide, what's happening there, they would say there's no evidence. And granted, I would say there's no evidence, but I would also say
There's no
there's lots of
evidence, really?
eyewitness. Well, not concrete, but there's lots of eyewitness reports of people who've managed to get away. And you see these people who would have these protests in Australia say, where is my father? Where is my son? Etc. That's what I believe more. It's an eyewitness rather than a scandal that the Western media has brought up. Yeah? So these people would promote in that way, saying that the West is wrong. This one is a guy called Guilo60, Kirk from Canada, and I think he's on his
Yeah.
61st birthday. He's actually just left because his wife needs some hospital treatment, which is fair enough. And
Yeah.
before, he would always have a go about different characters on YouTube constantly in a park drinking a
Yeah.
beer. Even you've done a parody of this
Yeah.
gentleman. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the, like, he's been in China for, he says he's been in China for over 20 years. And he doesn't speak a word of the language. Now, I granted, not everybody is a language learning expert, but this guy doesn't even have a rudimentary grasp of the language. I think he knows like 2 words. One of them is the word for hello, and the other one is the word for beer. Like that, just like, if he loves China so much, like he says he does, which he doesn't love it, by the way, but if he does love it like he says he does, you think he would at least bother to learn a little bit about the country where he lives in terms of culture, history, language, that kind of thing. But he just likes it because it's cheap there. He can get away with doing whatever the hell he wants. He doesn't have to worry about anything. He's got his easy lifestyle, which is perfectly fine. If you want to live like that, then fair enough. But don't come online making all of these videos bashing your own country. The country, by the way, that provided you with that chance to even go to China in the first place, right? And just, don't be praising the CCP, talking about how evil the West is, but then putting the CCP on a pedestal. Like, how can you even... anyway, sorry, mate. This is the Shillbuster rant going on your channel.
Okay. It's fine. The thing is, there are actually some really good YouTubers about China, and they just do daily life. I actually caught one earlier, a American girl called Alexia Lightyear, and she's a teacher in Beijing. Nothing political, nothing sensitive, and just this is what I think what people want to see, just how life is in a different country. And maybe through a foreigner's eyes. But a lot of these shills, I also find out they never talk to any Chinese people. I know sort of it's not really allowed to if you're going to do a YouTube, but everything is from foreigner to foreigner.
Hold on.
Here.
Hold on. You're not allowed. Wait, you just said you're not allowed to if you do YouTube. Well, James, they're technically not even allowed to be on YouTube because it's blocked in
alone,
China.
Yeah. I actually did a video a couple of weeks ago or last week said a VPN is allowed in China, but not when it's a time when it's the National Congress, when Xi Jinping
Yeah,
and his
they block
cronies
them.
get together, then it
They
all
block
gets
them.
locked down. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Twitter, Facebook, Google kind of things are actually banned.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I read an article, no foreigner has actually been banned using or deported or arrested for using a VPN while using or a Twitter using a VPN. And that was an
Mm,
article from about 1 year ago or 2 years ago.
sure, but
So
there's always that chance.
it's that gray area there. This next
Mm.
picture here is
Oh
the
God,
king. And he even depicts himself in this picture. He's changed his picture on his channel, but
the
this was sort
Messiah.
of like saying, I am the Messiah. And there was
Yeah.
one he again does all the negative stuff about the West and he shows his evidence and he manipulates. He's actually, I think he's quite intelligent in that way, or I think he is, but I couldn't talk with him because I know he would win the whole conversation. Yeah,
He'd
in that
gaslight.
way,
He'd gaslight
in
you.
it,
He'd twist everything.
Twister. But there was one interview he did maybe about a month ago with a former journalist who had been in China for a long time, who just took him down to the ground. And he showed a video which was in Arabic. And this American journalist said to him, "Do you speak Arabic?" And
Hmm.
Daniel went into his, when he gets upset, he speaks incredibly fast. And in those words, "Do you speak Arabic?" he just debunked Daniel, which was so funny for me.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
what what is your? I don't know the actual word to say. What do you think of Daniel Dumbrill here, or Dumshill, as I think you like to call him?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like these days, I don't really pay much attention to him. Um, yeah, he's he's a special guy, a really special guy. He's like the King Tanky, and
Yeah,
he spends most of his life on Twitter. He neglects almost everything else in his life to just go on these massive Twitter rants. And if you sit there reading his Twitter, I eventually put the guy on block because I don't really want to have anything to do with him. But yeah, you just see that he just goes on Twitter attacking human rights activists and praising the CCP and denigrating the West. And like sometimes I think when I read some of his posts about some of the atrocities committed by Western countries, I think, yeah, okay, Daniel, maybe you've got a point. Maybe you've got a point, mate. But then I see that from where his position actually is, from hiding behind the CCP and
yeah,
praising the CCP and denigrating the West, it just these two things do not go together, like either you're one or the other. Do you hate authoritarian governments? Do you hate wars? Do you hate all of this, these crazy policies by controlling over the top governments, or don't you? And I don't know exactly what Daniel's point is most of the time, to be honest with you, James. Yeah.
yeah. Right. There's loads of them. Let's do one more, and then I think we're getting
Wow.
close to dinner time. And these people are from. You do their accent very well. This is Lee and Ollie Barrett,
Mm.
and you call him King Rama the Second.
Oh, actually, that's
What
Winston calls him that. King
is it? Okay,
Ramses.
yeah,
Yeah. He's you're talking about the older one,
the
right?
one on the right hand side. Yeah, Lee. Yeah,
So these are Lee and Ollie Barrett, two British guys, father and son. Uh, like one of them lived. He lived in China, and then his son went to live with him. his son doesn't have any qualifications like a university degree, or even he doesn't even have like a college diploma or A levels, and yet he's still living in China, shilling for the CCP. For these guys, there's nothing wrong happening in China. The Chinese government can do no wrong. And they're constantly like bashing America all the time. Like, especially that guy, the older one, he can't stand America. I don't know why. He's got some axe to grind.
Did you ever see the video of them in a hotel room selling these pills, saying this will cure COVID-19, and say you need it in your life?
Yeah, I was the one that exposed them for that on my Shieldbusters channel. Yeah, it's very shocking that it was this capsule, this TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. It was called Lianhua Qingwen, I think the name of the medicine is, and it's basically just some traditional Chinese medicine crap that some Chinese people, if they get a cold, they'll take it to help like bring down the symptoms. And they were trying to pass it off as like a medicine that can help prevent COVID-19. How ridiculous is that?
This is that, yeah. They've just sold their soul, and they will do anything for a bit of cash. They have like a lot of these shills, you think they have no morals. It's just purely for a bit of money, and they don't care what other people think of them. But if you see their channel, I think this channel has got 200,000 subscribers. I could guess most of them are just sort of like the auto bots, so to speak. I have actually asked these people on my channel, and I'm quite willing to show where my audience comes from. On YouTube, you have like you can analyze, and it will say the age of your viewers, what video worked, what video doesn't, where the viewers come from. I would love them to see, I would love to show them, or like them to show us an actual picture of where their subscribers come from, or where their viewers come from. My one is like
interesting.
Mine is about 60% in the USA, and then it goes down to like Canada, Australia, and the UK. But I would always I'd always think that most of their audience comes from the CCP nationalists, the people who would do anything for the Communist Party, and very few would come from the United States of America.
Yeah. Their audience are the people who shouldn't even be on YouTube because they're not allowed to by their government.
Yeah. So if any of you want to have a look, that you've got like maybe 20, 25 videos on CCP Shieldbusters. The link is in the description below. This is advertising, by the way, yada, 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 yada. Oh, yeah, sure. Like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. We've done that. That's out the way now.
Yes, mate. Like if anybody wants to check out my stuff, go ahead. I'm sure James will put some links there for you.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap it up for today. I would like to say hello to everyone who's watched us rabbit on like two old men in the pub with a pint of beer, but we can't drink anymore, so we can only drink soda water instead.
Yeah.
And
how lame.
I've actually worked out the next time I can have a beer. In other words, the day I don't have to wake up the next day, which is March the 30th.
Oh, really? God damn it.
Is that sad or is that sad?
That is very sad. You need to sort yourself out.
I'm going to get a life one day. Yeah. And when is your next video? Have you got any plan for your next video or on?
No, not really, mate. Not really. It's I'm just taking it easy for a little bit. Just trying to get some new ideas, but it'll probably be within the next week or so.
Okay. So again, let's the links are in the description below. Again, thank you for everyone who watched. I think the maximum peak was about 19 people. Woohoo!
Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah, well done. And I'll get you on my channel.
And if any of our can I say idols? I do like to watch Lao Y86. I do like to watch you. I do like to watch Winston. ADV Podcast, ADV China. What else? Who else do I like?
Did you join their new channel?
I've seen it. Yeah, I've watched bits of it, and it's actually quite good because they're not so long segments.
Go and subscribe to it.
Yeah, I think I have already. Yeah. When ADV Podcast comes out, for me, it's like Saturday morning, and
yeah,
I would just usually have it on because you can listen to it as well, being mainly like a podcast. But then always something gets in the way, and you go, so these 5-minute segments or 20 minutes is much better for me. So yeah, I have subscribed.
Yeah,
and
I think it's perfect. They're really good for sharing. If you want to share one of them on Twitter or whatever, it's better to have one of these little like shorter videos than just share the whole stream. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'll put that in the link in the description below as well. A little bit later. I haven't done do so. All right. So thank you very much for joining us. And thank you again to all the people who stuck with us for just under an hour. I think it's time for some English food, which is going to be a sausage roll. Get ready for this.
Oh, yeah.
A sausage roll, HP baked beans. You're excited now, yeah? My life.
Dude.
And some HP brown sauce.
Where did you get the beans from?
Supermarket.
Do they sell them just on the supermarket shelf there?
Yes.
Like proper HP beans?
You can have Heinz, or you can have HP, or you can have Co-op.
Wow. Okay. I'm yet to see them here in Taiwan. Okay. Wow, that's interesting.
This is one thing that you, if you never lived in a country for a long time, you do sort of crave something of your home, even though it's the most disgusting food in the world. You love it. And I remember seeing baked beans here. I sort of went, more than, oh my God. Or when I saw malt vinegar for fish and chips.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Get really excited,
English, you don't care how much it is.
Right, yeah, that's true.
And bung it in the microwave.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
But what you just described to me, the beans and the sausage roll, like that sounds like a meal fit for a king, mate. I hope you enjoy it. Sounds great.
Yeah. The sausage roll, $1.80. The baked beans, I think, are $1 for one can is $1.50. So $3. Yeah. Bung it in the microwave. Done.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to come onto your channel today. Thank you for having me. I'm definitely gonna get you on my channel at some point. And thank you to all of the people who have watched today as well. Much appreciated.
All right. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye.